know, it's really sad to think about, but the racing game genre is pretty much dead right now, and especially for arcade racers. Midnight Club is long gone because Rockstar, the developers behind the series, have been working on a game I have never heard of it called, I think it's called Grand Theft Auto? I don't know. Ridge Racer from Namco is long gone as well, and then now Need for Speed, the pinnacle of arcade racers that most of us used to look forward to every year, is now stuck in limbo from the EA buyout, and the Criterion developers that used to be working on the series and franchise have now moved over to Battlefield to help as a support studio. So who the hell knows what's going on with that and when EA is going to greenlight another project for the Need for Speed series. And besides some hopium every now and then from the games like Tokyo Extreme Racer being revived, or for instance the new game Screamer breathing life into this dead genre once again, it's pretty much non-existent at this point in time. The ninth generation of consoles has forgotten this amazing genre. People tend to forget one of the most underrated and best arcade racing franchises of all time that has laid dormant for far too long, and that is none other than EA's Burnout series. But today, as we focus on the Burnout series, we aren't going to be focusing on the series as a whole. No, plenty of people have done that already. We are going to be focusing on what got me into this franchise. And it was a singular game that opened my eyes to what the phrase, quote unquote, arcade racer really meant. And you might be a bit confused on the screen right now. And I know some of you are really scratching your heads and you're probably being like, well, that clearly says Need for Speed. Yes, I know that. I can read, kind of. Barely. Rest assured, our story starts here. You see, back in the day, games used to have a full game on the disc, something that still happens today, but is starting to become a normal trend in the industry, requiring you to have internet to install the rest of the game. Developers that do this are just, well,
that's stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid.
Anyways, that's a gripe for another time. The point is, back then in the 6th generation days, sometimes games would have special goodies on the disc, like bonus material, behind the scenes footage, and sometimes, the most importantly, demos. This disc of Need for Speed Underground 2 had a demo that contained the best arcade racing game ever made. So good, in fact, that back in the day, my siblings and I used to play this demo so much, we would pass the controller around to beat our high scores in the demo's Takedown event. Some might say Burnout Paradise is the best, some might say Burnout Revenge is the best, but to me,
there can be only one.
And that is Burnout 3 Takedown. Burnout 3 Takedown was developed by Criterion Games, which some might know now by working on the Need for Speed series today and being a support studio for EA as mentioned earlier. But the game was released on September 7th, 2004 in North America for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Right away, this game has this vibe that is really hard to match, and that is this combination of so many things, from the events, cars, tracks, and of course the fuel that makes sure you never run on empty is the soundtrack. Pretty good pun, right? I wrote that one myself.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
Now let's start with the main thing in this game, which is the events. In Burnout 3 Takedown, the events are broken up into very simple, easy to understand icons so that the player can easily differentiate which event they want to jump into. And trust me as well, this game has the art of telling yourself, quote, yeah, I'll hop on for 10 minutes to relive some nostalgia, and then all of a sudden, then you realize hours have gone by and Taco Bell is the only thing that is still open that late. Which I don't recommend, by the way, because it'll give you really bad acid reflux. Anyways though, in all seriousness, I have almost been late to work playing this game recently for this video a few times because of how this game has mastered the art of this so-called pick up and play with ease, which I need to emphasize is extremely hard to do for any developer.
It's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash.
It's incredibly hard.
But that's the magic of this game. It doesn't matter if you like racing games or not. If you don't like racing, that's fine. Do some crash events where essentially all you do is cause the biggest crashes, the most chaos, and the most expensive accident you can. It's actually really fun. Or let's say you want to do a race, but instead of racing for first, you actually win by crashing your opponents in takedown events. This is where the game shines, pitting you against AI opponents where you all are dodging traffic, bobbing and weaving, hitting each other into guardrails, and slamming each other into walls. And if you stop for a second or lose control, it's like you're getting hit with a baseball bat that stops all momentum.
Hey, bruh? Yeah?
Of course, you have your standard Grand Prix races that help you unlock cars and also combines all these events into one. Don't believe me? If you have an opponent giving you a trouble in a tournament race, crash them into a wall. Got taken down by another racer or crashed? Use the aftertouch mechanic to flip or steer your wreck into oncoming racers to slow them down. This game is so thought out with every mechanic, it wants you to have fun, even if you're having a tough time. And trust me, you will. From crashes to sensitive steering of other cars, or just rubber banding AI that makes you feel like Ja Rule from Fast and Furious 1 when you're near the finish line. The game will challenge you, but at the end of the day, the game emphasizes you to experiment and play and to have fun. And that's what Burnout 3 Takedown does extremely well, and it masters that art. Now, remember how I was saying earlier that the soundtrack for Burnout 3 Takedown is the fuel that puts this car on the road and just creates this atmosphere of, I just got my license and now I'm a rebel with a cause. Burnout 3 has one of, if not, the most complimenting soundtrack to an arcade racer, on top of having one of the best soundtracks in a racing game to date. And what I mean by complimenting is that a game about crashing cars and going as fast as you can embellishes you in this world by the songs that are played. And what are the songs that play? Oh, are they rap? Nope. EDM? Nope. They're good old alternative rock music with some early 2000s nostalgia and some emo punk thrown in, as well as classic rock. And I know everybody's music taste differs, but my goodness, is this soundtrack so good, and how I wish I could play some of these tracks for you without getting copyrighted, because if I could, I most definitely would. But unfortunately, I just don't want to do that. They have some gems of songs and bands on here, like for instance, the Ramones, Rise Against, Franz Ferdinand, Yellow Card, My Chemical Romance. I mean, this embellishes the early 2000s to a fucking T. I'm not even joking. I mean, come on. This soundtrack is stacked with talent and the sound that keeps the pedal to the floor. A neat detail in this game that I adore is that when you crash or wreck, the music just cuts. It all goes back on the momentum I mentioned earlier, and the music adds to this because the metaphorical baseball bat hits you even harder when you get into an accident.
Yeah?
There are over 44 songs in total, all designed to get you to drive hard and fast. That's what she said. I personally have added over half the soundtrack to my personal playlist that makes me want to run and go get in my car when I feel like playing the soundtrack for this game. I mean, look, again, I understand it might not be everyone's cup of tea, and what I'm saying might sound like a lot of hoopla. But I'm telling you, play this game and you will just feel that it just fits perfectly into this kind of atmosphere.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute detail.
Now, I am very delighted to report that Burnout 3 Takedown went on to become a commercial success for EA, thanks to the work of Criterion's amazing formula finally finding the mainstream audience for which it so deserved. The game in Europe alone, by the end of 2004, sold over 1 million copies. So it was safe to say EA was making bank with this franchise, and well, we all know how EA likes money.
First of all, congratulations.
Electronic Arts.
Hello, I like money.
But since 2004, Burnout continued to keep going, but eventually tapered off due to EA not wanting to continue the series. The shift came when EA put most of the Criterion team in charge of the Need for Speed franchise. They delivered some good experiences, with one of my favorite games in the franchise being a revitalized Hot Pursuit game that came out in 2010, and a not so favorite follow-up to a Most Wanted sequel in 2012, which was more of a Burnout game than anything. And when the Most Wanted game shipped back in 2012, we Need for Speed fans were all wondering, why in the hell does this have the Most Wanted logo when it didn't even have anything to do with the game? Well, my fellow viewer, this was the beta and original version the game was going for that leaked so many years ago. Take a look at what it was supposed to be. Till this day, it bothers me that we never got this version of the game, and it shows that Criterion knows what to do with the Need for Speed franchise when having creative freedom to do so. But unfortunately, you can also tell when the corporate checklist began to show up. Burnout would continue releasing games up until 2008, with the final true installment being Burnout Paradise, which till this day is the only game in the whole entire series to get a remaster, which was back in 2018. Why no other games from this franchise have been remastered or have been remastered? I truly don't know, because it's EA and they rather drive their company off a cliff than see their fans actually get something worthwhile. Now, I'm not saying Burnout Paradise is a bad game, it's just to me, Burnout 3 is the best. I also really love Burnout Revenge because, well, let's just say in one of my shows that I watch, I saw this meme and it had me laughing.
I was just wondering if you wanted to hang out with me and smoke weed and fill our bellies with diet soda and play Burnout Revenge for the PS2.
Burnout has been fading into the background of obscurity recently. When you mention the series now to anyone, they either say, oh yes, that crazy racing game, or the one that I get the most is, what in the hell are you talking about? Which makes me feel old and reminds me of how much time has truly passed. Now, there were some games like Dangerous Driving that came out in 2019 for the PlayStation and Xbox, which were actually made by the former Burnout leads. They were low budget, but itched that scratch that was bothering us fans of the series for a while. However, I know this still sounds mean, but it just wasn't Burnout. I really do hope one day that this franchise comes back, and it comes back as better than ever before, because it deserves it. But the uncertainty of EA's future and them putting Need for Speed on ice for I don't know how long, it's just really, really disappointing, because this is a franchise that desperately needs to come back. And unfortunately, and I know the reality of this, but there's just not a lot of people that like arcade racing games anymore. And I'm one of the few, and if you've watched this far into the video, then you are also one of the few people that also enjoy the game, or just see some interesting cars and want to go fast and crash and take down other people. But this game was amazing to me. I truly love the Burnout series, and I hope one day Criterion revives it. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate everyone that watches the videos, that leaves a like and comment. It means the world to me, and I cannot wait to see what we do in 2026, because it's just going to be such a great year for us, and for this video to be the first one in 2026, it's going to be a great time. But please, stay safe out there, stay awesome, and I will see you in the next one.